Thank you for coming. Thank you for inviting me for this talk. Actually, I was quite excited about all this stuff. I talked to Jorn a couple of meetings ago at App Store, and I talked to him about this possibility to use automation. And then Jorn said, this is great. We have this meeting, CocoaHeads, and it will be probably in 2 weeks. Do you want to talk? Okay, great. I can share with more people. So yeah, this is a presentation for today. I'm going to introduce myself a little bit. I'm from Spain. Today is like the Spanish day. My parents are from Argentina, so I'm both. And I've been living in the Netherlands for 2 years now. I've been a programmer for 4 years. And I'm currently working at EE Studio, which is a company in Delft. I'm working with Donald Faber, who's among you, who brought me on time to the meeting. And in EE Studio we do both architectural work and we develop software. So the architectural work that they do is not architectural software development, but kind of design of buildings and stuff. But, so this is a talk for today. My objective of the talk is to let you know, or to share with you the knowledge I got using this UIAutomation and using it specifically with this other framework related to JavaScript. They are not all frameworks. Javascript is a framework, CoffeeScript is a scripting language related to JavaScript, of course, and TuneUp.js is just a library. My first question to the public today is how do you use UIAutomation? So how many among you do you use? Yeah, so this kind of talk maybe is necessary or important or interesting. So let's start then. Yeah, for today, this is the agenda for today. I divided the talk in 3 parts. The first part I talk about UIAutomation, description and introduction to the framework, and how did it evolve in 1 year, because it was first released last year in summer. And there are some updates that are very, very interesting. The second part of the presentation, I will talk about the JavaScript tools, CoffeeScript, Jasmine, Vue.js. And the last part, we will do some nice testing code with UI catalog. So we will apply everything to this app from Apple that you can download. You probably all know it because it has a bunch of elements that you can use in iOS interface. Yeah, well, that's here. We have a little bit of Java alphabet. Probably the original JavaScript. UIAutomation and evolution. How did I start using UIAutomation? Well, we developed a small app for a client, and we developed it in iOS. It was my first experience with iOS. Previously, we have been working and using, we have been doing projects in web development, so we use Ruby on Rails. And in Ruby on Rails, you have a lot of very nice tools for developing and for testing. You can do unit testing, you can do also behavior-driven development or testing. You can test the interface. So these tools, for example, are RSpec, Selenium, Capybara. And working with the iOS, working with the application that we had to do, I found out that I was lacking some of these tools. And I tried to do a small research myself to find what was there. And there was UIAutomation. So that was January this year. So it's still the first version of UIAutomation. What is UIAutomation? It's the official UI testing framework from Apple. And it was released last summer, so 1 year ago. So for SDK 4.0. What do you do with UIAutomation? You direct a series of tests using JavaScript, trying to perform all kind of activities on the elements of the UI of your application. So, what was the first impression about it? Well, here I'm following actually following an article from reference here, from this guy here. His critics. It's quite interesting because it's the guy also who did the extension of Jasmine to use UIAutomation. What does he basically say? It's quite obvious actually, is that you cannot run tests from the command line first. You can not set up or set a reset state for the test. You can also not programmatically retrieve the results of the test run. So basically it means that you run your test and yeah, you have to click somewhere to save it somewhere else. So you cannot do that programmatically. Eventually it could be done with AppleScript, but yeah, a lot of work, I'm not sure. And also another critique is it doesn't provide really a form to organize your test scripts. They are just a series of tests, but they are not really nicely organized. And they are not also atomically run because of this problem of setting up and setting a recent state. So in 2011, so 1 month ago, there are some new updates, and this is very interesting because this kind of answers all these critics that we can read over here before. We have command line interface for running the tests. That's very cool. You can even probably have an integration server for this, running the tests. You still need to have actually installed a visual system for running a test, because it's going to run actually the application on the simulator. But yeah, this is very good. We have something also new, is recording. I don't know if you heard about it. You can record now using UIAutomation. Yes. And there is a new element in the it's called UIAutomation, and it will allow you to one new class, the JavaScript class provided by UIAutomation, and it will allow you to execute any command, external command to the script that is currently running, so you can execute anything in your machine via it. So I think they are very, very interesting updates. I'm going to introduce a little bit the UIAutomation framework structure for those who don't know it. UIAutomation basically maps the classes from the iOS, the visual classes from iOS, to JavaScript classes. At the top, the superclass of all of them is UIAelement. So this is the superclass of all of the other classes. And there is also a very important class, because UITarget. And this class is the interface to your application. When we run the test, we have to actually read from this higher class the application class, which corresponds to the currently running application, and then the window that will be the container of the action that is going on. And from the window, we can go on and retrieve. In first instance, we can retrieve the navigation bar, the table view, the user tab bar, and you retrieve them as an array. So in order to start one of these scripts, we first need to get these root elements. So you always have to get the target, get the application, get the main window, and then the root view. And from there you can start getting some logic into it and do some checkings. You also get provided with a logger, and with this logger you are going to log whether you pass or fail. Actually, there is no testing function provided natively in the JavaScript framework. So basically you do it yourself. You just set the conditions for testing or for failing, and then you log if it has passed or if it has passed or failed. You can, on every element, on every instance of UI element, you can log the element tree. Means that you log all the children from this element, or you can log the element itself. That's quite useful, or was quite useful before, because getting to know this new framework, well, it's different from the normal iOS framework. So you have to get to know how is the structure, and yeah, at the beginning it's a little bit cumbersome, so they are very useful. You can do any kind of, not any kind, but you can do a series of gestures on the running application that is getting tested. So you can do all of them. Yeah. There are some important methods that UITarget has. One of them, for example, is related to the timeout period, which is quite important because in many cases you have to programmatically force a delay in order to let the next view load. You can capture screenshots at any moment with this method capture screenshot with name. And another important thing that is not related to UI target, but is the accessibility label and the identify attributes. When you want to query any element on the view that is getting tested, you can go down the tree, the elements tree that is provided, or you can programmatically set a label, an accessibility label, and this will be the identifier, and it will help the UIAutomation find this element. So it's handy to do it. You can do it on the ID, on the interface builder, or you can do it also on the code. There is this method. This method is from a protocol, and most of the view elements, the UI view elements, comply to this protocol, which is an informal protocol. So you can always set the accessibility label, and this will set the name of the element in this testing framework. Yeah, I go to the second part of my presentation about the JavaScript tools. I don't know if I'm going too fast. Maybe I should maybe show you how to work UIAutomation first. A small back and forth between the code and the. So let's run something. So first we need instruments. The automation is part of the instrument suite. And which is very nice, of course, is that you can run all the instruments with it. So this is a way to start with the automation. You choose it. This screen. And we don't have any script. I'm going to add a script. This is a script that I grasp from one of the references that I did in the web page. So once it is selected, you can run the test. Well, first you have to choose a target. So in these cases, there are two possibilities. You have the iPad and you have the Mac Mini. Target here. We have catalog. And then you record. And then it's going to open simulator and it's going to run all the tests. Takes a little while to start. Okay, well, what you get here as a result is a kind of plist. And this is the tree that I was talking about before. I stopped the recording. So, basically, what you get is this log tree and the screenshot from the right. So, this is the log that you get when you run this kind of test. Of course, green if it's passed, red if it hasn't passed. You can log the tree. This is the code. So what I was saying in the beginning, when you start one of these trees, you have to get all these elements. You get the UI target. From that, you get the local target. Then from the target, you get the frontmost application. Then the main window from it. And then the root view. And here in this case, we start logging, we log what we are going to do. And then what I did actually is to log the element tree that is attached to the main window. So it's basically all the elements contained in the main window. So this is basically what you get when you with this framework as it is. Now, as it's JavaScript, we can use all the frameworks and improvements that the JavaScript open source community can provide. One of them is CoffeeScript, so it's another language that compiles JavaScript. And these are the advantages of this language. It's very clean, and it's quite easy to write. And the compiled code is pretty printed. The compiled code is a little bit verbose, but yeah, it's well formatted if you want. What is nice in the compiled code is it will be passing in JavaScript link, so it will be code that will be checked for common errors. You get that when you compile. It works with every JavaScript implementation, and it's quite optimized. The resulting code is quite optimized. This was developed by Jeremy and Skenaz, and we use it quite a lot actually. Yeah, the second tool I want to talk to you tonight is JavaScript Jasmine. Jasmine is developed by a company called Pivotal Labs and allows you to do behavior-driven RSpec style tests in JavaScript. The structure of one of these tests is as follows. You have a kind of suite. It's used with the describe function, and in this suite you are describing the context. In this case, Jasmine. And then inside every suite you have expectations that will be fulfilled or that will fail. In this case, the expectation is set as one of the parameters. The other parameter is the function that actually will be running and that will be checking the validity value. What is nice with this kind of behavior-driven testing is that you get an output that is quite meaningful, quite clear, and it's easy to share with someone else, which is maybe not a core developer, but is more on a testing team, or even with people who are not directly developing it, that they can have a meaningful information about what's going on there. It allows you also to set up kind of previous states. You can use the function before each, after each, so before and after. So it's a set up and tear down functions before and after every run. And you can also use this function that will be running this or after, whether the test fails or succeeds, it will be running. It has a set of matchers. Maybe it's not very easy to see here, but basically what you do is you concatenate some functions that are meaningful in their name, and they are always in the sense of expect parameter. Inside this parameter will be the function from which we want to test the true value, and then the matchers available are to equal, to be, to match, to be defined, undefined, to be null. These two are called truthy and falsy. Important because in JavaScript there are some values that in some cases they would be false, but actually they pass us through. So using these functions you guarantee that these values are always correct what you expect. So, well, for example, undefined will be falsy in this case in JavaScript. These are the matchers available. And the third tool I want to talk to you about is TuneUp.js. So Alex Volmer, last summer, he was writing quite a lot of posts on UIAutomation and his analysis on the tool, and then he wrote this extension, and then he gave up. But the extension is quite okay, quite good. What we get in this extension is that you can make assertions. This is not provided by the core framework. So, and this is very, very useful. And you also have extensions from the elements. In JavaScript, you can extend any class, as you do in iOS. You can use a category to extend a class. Then in JavaScript, you can do the same. So he extended the superclass via elements to get all these available functions. You can check with the portrait orientation. You can tap and wait for invalid. That's a very handy function. It's just sum up of functions that is handy. And in particular, I will concentrate in one of them, assert insert window. We will be using this later because it's very handy. So you can also download the code on the web page. Yeah.
What is this? Is this an extension to something or?
This is an extension. So he is extending with these libraries.
What is he extending?
JavaScript classes.
What JavaScript class?
From the UIAutomation. Because the UIAutomation, you are scripting in JavaScript.
I'm new to UIAutomation because you're just telling me some API and I'm really wondering what it is.
Yeah.
Do I understand correctly that UIAutomation does not have any functionality to assert something?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a testing framework. It's just a logging framework.
No, it is a testing framework in the sense that you can check if this is true, then you log true. You log information, whether you assert.
But it doesn't have a certain functionality.
Okay, it doesn't. Okay, it's not like something like the.
You can
test fails.
when you do log true or look false, it's just going to change the color of the log.
Okay.
And yeah, it's very bare, but
yeah,
that was the way.
It's fine, but then
that was the way it was.
But this adds it.
1 year ago. Yeah, this adds it. Actually, it's not very difficult to add it, but as they shipped it 1 year ago, it was a little bit not mature, I think, in many cases, because it has many problems. It had many problems, and well, in this update they haven't extended any. They haven't extended, but I think they also left the freedom to extend it if you want, because JavaScript is quite easy to extend. Yeah, they don't have these asserts.
Okay.
I don't know why. No idea. So yeah, Alex Vollmer made this extension, and yeah, it's quite useful as well if you are going to use all these tools. Yeah, we are going to test something, and yeah, of course, interrupt me if you have any question, because there are many frameworks involved and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of continue on this discussion. The first time I saw UIAutomation, it was presented by Apple as a tool to kind of automate actions within instruments.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're presenting, if I'm correct, is kind of a way to kind of use instruments, UIAutomation at this moment, to use it more as a testing framework, right? You're adding stuff, you're adding this JavaScript.
Oh no! It's already a testing framework, because
it's
you
becoming
use.
a testing framework.
No, it was released as a testing framework. If you see this conference from 2010, I think it's session 3 or 6, when they talk about UIAutomation, and they say, well, the subtitle of the conference is finding bugs while you sleep. So it's really the intention they had in the beginning, but I think that 1 year ago it was, it was a little bit not that mature.
In the beginning, it wasn't like also unit where you build also tests or stuff. You always have to run it from the instruments at the beginning.
Yeah. Now you can run it from the command line.